A-Sven-gers, it's me, Svenny McG. As you can see, I have put together here 11 of these Mainstays bookshelves. And so I'm going to show you the easiest way to put one together as I go and assemble my 12th. You may be wondering why I didn't use a Billy bookshelf for these instances, but I'll show you I actually have used plenty of Billy bookshelves, just not in that room. Instead, I'm using this, the Walmart Mainstays 5-shelf bookcase. And here you can see it actually comes up. It's just about 71.5 inches, and a Billy bookcase, because I have this lower bump out. Yeah, it'd be nice to change those into LEDs one day. But that lower casing bump out here would definitely be in the way of a Billy bookshelf. So in this case, I opted for the Mainstays. Okay, last thing I want to do is waste your time, so we're going to jump right into it. But when we get started here, you're going to need a hammer. You're going to need a Phillips head for some of the screws. You're going to need floor space because this thing, like I said, is going to be about 71 inches tall by the time you're done putting it together. And I'm going to recommend that you keep a vacuum on hand because this is going to get styrofoam bits everywhere, and you'll see my best tips and tricks as we go along. Let's get started. Okay, my friends, step one, let's go ahead and open this up. One side isn't any better than the other. I just work with the top. Remove these little cardboard corners. Styrofoam. Like I said, we're going to see lots of that, which is good. I mean, the product will at least come out in good shape, hopefully. After seeing 11 of these, I've seen the odd bits here, but nothing I've had to return. The odd blemishes, etc. But usually it's in a position that I've been able to turn a board around, not worry about, so that's good. The one thing, if you're going to go through the instructions versus if you're going to be watching this video, is you'll see that I might do things a little bit out of ordinary, a little bit off from the way that the instructions tell you to do. But again, that's only because I've put together so many of these in a row. I found what I think works easiest for me. And ultimately, all the steps will be completed anyways. You don't have to order these in any way, shape, or form. I'm kind of putting them by size, but kind of just knock this one back into the box because it does have holes for dowels, and sometimes there is sawdust in there. Okay, so I just like putting the styrofoam bits, cardboard pieces, anything I don't want right back in the box. Remember to keep this one here, this has all the hardware for it. And now I'm going to go get this box out of my way, out of this room. Okay, here's a part not mentioned in that book, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I suggest you do it. It is very tedious, but I'm going to wipe every one of these boards down because they all have bits of styrofoam, flecks, dust, dirt. And what's going to happen is I'll just put them together and then what? Wipe it down after. It's not going to be as easy to do. You may not be able to get to some of the pieces if they're in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and just do this now. This honestly is the part that takes about the longest, but it's very much worth your time to do. So get this done now, get it out of the way, and I'm telling you, you'll be happier for it by the time the thing is assembled and completed. I'm not going to stack them so they're tight against each other. I want them to breathe because I want them to dry. I'm not using a soaked cloth here. No detergents or anything, no soap, anything like that. It's legitimately just a damp cloth. It won't even let out water if I wring it. Again, sometimes there's just legit dirt, someone's fingerprint from the factory. So clean it up. One thing when you're going through, you're going to find you have 3 boards labeled E. Those are the ones that are going to just be filler, the floating shelves. You can stack those 3 together and we won't be using them immediately. Of course, the shelf itself needs to be assembled first, so those ones can be definitely put aside. They're easy to note. They don't have any holes or anything in the sides of them because, again, they're just going to sit on top of pegs when we're done. Last but not least here, even the cardboard. Again, I don't want to soak it, but I just want to get any of the styrofoam stuff off and onto the floor. All right, it's done. I'm going to kind of even shake my rag out here a little bit on the floor because guess what? Next step, vacuum. Get all this dust and debris out of the way now. Then we assemble in a clean space and we're done. All right, let's get started. Let's grab board A. All right, once we've located board A, we're going to open up this plastic bag, the red plastic bag. The red piece can go away. We're going to go right to number 7. We're going to open that up. In number 7, we're going to locate the smaller of 2 screws. We're going to get a washer, and we're going to get this black piece of cloth. The other screw, washer, and the plastic mounting socket can all stay in there. We're going to get our Phillips head. This is not included with the package, so we need to find one ourselves. We're going to take that little guy, we're going to put the washer on it, and we're going to feed it through one of the 2 holes on this cloth. And then we're going to, on top of A, there's a little hole there. We're going to put it right in there. It's just a little pilot hole there, so we're going to screw this right down. Technically, I guess you could say this part is optional. I would not recommend skipping it. This is the top piece, A, and therefore when your shelf is mounted to the wall, you're going to use this cloth to mount this to your wall so that your shelving unit can't tip if you overload it or someone's climbing on it, etc. So that's a safety piece. We don't want to skip safety. As far as goes for putting the wall together, the shelf together, you could skip it if you want to, but I don't recommend it. Okay, next step, we're going to open number 4. We're going to take out 4 wooden dowels. The wooden dowels go on the side of the board, and another 2. If you find it falls in very soft or it's a little bit firm, it doesn't matter. There's nothing specific here. They're really just kind of holders. You will be using screws for actual fastening purposes. We're going to now need boards C and D. Okay, so importantly here, if I have the strap facing upwards and out, so this is going to be the top that would be facing everybody. The back, of course, it remains unfinished. So that means I'm going to want D on my left side and fastens in with those dowels. C goes on the right side. I can't screw it up because there's no dowel marks or screw marks on the bottom of C, but there are at the top. Same with D, okay? So C is going to go in like that, and the dowels are holding it in place. Obviously, nothing's fastened. We're going to now open number 1. I'm going to need 4 of these screws. Okay, it's these guys here. They are Allen keyed. They have a flat bottom here. It's not like an actual screw, more shaped like a bolt, I suppose. They have 4 spots on their sides here, top and bottom. Okay, so I'm putting them into place, 4 of them, and I'm going to open number 8 to get that Allen key. Plain and simple, get it in place, and we're just going to screw them in. What I recommend doing is get one of them in on top, technically at the, I suppose, the back here. I'm going to get this other one in as well, top on the opposite side. Now with it firmly in, and what I did was, you can see I just kind of cinched it enough so that it goes flush, maybe a little bit inward, but not too much. You don't want to split the wood, damage it, make it kind of gross. So now I'm going to lift it up a little bit, and now I'm going to sink that second one in, the bottom one. Away we go. And the other side is now in. So now what I'm going to do is I got to assemble a bottom piece. We need board G. Okay, so same thing, of course, the finish is going to go to the floor. And in this case, 2 holes are going to face the already completed part, and 4 are going to be facing me when I assemble this. I'm going to need 4 more bolts from number 1. The parts that are already piloted, basically the outermost, are where these number 1 bolts are going to go. Again, sometimes easier. Start anchoring one side first. Because these have a deeper pilot hole, you may find that these bolts can go in a little bit deeper. That's okay. Get them snug. Again, don't try and split the wood. Okay, let's see if I can find the other one at the top here. Again, you gotta love these projects with the proprietary Allen keys, because hey, why just allow you to use a low-level electric or something? I know why. It's because if you put too much power to it, you'll just split everything. So they make you take your time. Okay, same thing. We got to put 2 in the bottom here. Now, if I want, I can actually lift the project up on its end, or I can just raise it a little bit. In this case, I am going to lift it right up so it's sitting right on top of A. Again, you're going to want to make sure that if this is on a carpet or something, because the spot that's facing down now is the spot that'll be exposed later on. All right, now in this circumstance here, again, I'm just putting in these last two. If you're assembling one, let me know what you're going to use it for in the comments below. Are you actually going to use it for a bookshelf? Good on you if you are. Are you going to use it for media, video games, action figures like myself? With those 4 in, we're now going to go ahead and we're going to open number 2. This is where we've kind of deviated from the actual instructions. They would have told you to install these 4 screws, number 2, into G already. In the end, like I said, it doesn't really make a difference. We are going to need our Phillips head again. And these just go straight in the top. One side has a thread on it, the other side has the heading for our screwdriver. There you go. And number 4. Okay, with those 4 in, I'm going to place it facing down again. All right, my friends, now what we're going to do is we're going to lengthen the unit even farther. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab boards I and boards H. I'm going to open bag number 3. So again, we have these pieces here hanging out, these screws. So what I'm going to do is, in this case, this is board H, and it's got these big circles here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 2 of these guys, and you want it so that the piece here faces the holes at the top of the board. There's physical holes right at the top here. If you look closely, you can see that there's an actual little plus minus on there. So the plus minus needs to face towards the holes at the top. Okay, once we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to slide these bolts into the holes. Just like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to use that Phillips again, and you're going to just spin and twist it. And you'll feel them locking into place. Now if you look up close, that plus minus is now, instead of facing the hole, is more or less facing towards the back here. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process with board I. Tighten them into place. Perfect. Now we're further along. All right, friends, and we are now at the bottom piece. So we are going to take board B. You have those 3 dowel marks. We're going to have those facing us again, and the unfinished side facing upwards. We're going to need the last of our dowels out of parts 4. Okay, so we're going to get 1, 2 on the sides here, 2 on the opposite side, and with those 3 on the bottom, those 3 holes on the bottom, we're going to insert 3 final dowels. The purpose of that is we're going to fit board F onto that. Board F doesn't really matter which side faces forward, so try and find the one that looks better. I've had sometimes blemishes or pinch marks on it. So what you want to do is you have a finished side facing out on B. That's what's going to be facing ultimately outward. So that's the side that you're going to want to make your outward piece F face as well, the nice side. Okay, F and that finished side face downward. Okay, and we're going to seat this here. You can see F is along the bottom channel. And with the dowels, everything's in place. Let's go ahead, and we've got 6 final bolts from number 1 to put in. Okay, so we've got 1, we're going to go 2 and 3, and then we've got 3 on the other side as well. Same thing. Personally, I like starting at the top again. Next, I kind of like to just lift it a little bit. If that's a problem for you, you can put it on maybe a pillow or something. And I like to usually get both parts, the screws into that piece F. so that it's not just falling out or flopping around. I've already done the top 2 bits here into B. So now I'm just going to get F, and then I'll get the final B parts in at the end. F I find can split, so again, tighten it a little bit. If you start to hear a little bit of a paper ripping sound, that means you're splitting it. I find it goes into F very quick. All right, and while it's up there, our final 2 bolts. One on this side, I'll have the similar on the other. Congrats, my friends. We have assembled the bookshelf. Now what we need to do is get the backing down. When I said earlier the part about wiping the boards down was the longest part, I kind of lied. We're now going to open 6, which is all of those little mini nails. And this is the part where, again, you could rush the job, but then you have a tendency to perhaps maybe nail through the cardboard, and then you're going to poke holes in it and they'll be visible when the bookshelf's assembled. So I do ask that you try and perhaps proceed with a little bit of caution and care here. Also, don't drop nails everywhere and then step on them later. So we're going to take the smaller of the 2 and we're going to put K down on the backing here. My preference is to align it with the bottom first. And then you just kind of want to split it as best you can, left or right, between these 2 sides. You can see that there are little dimples in the cardboard to show where you should be putting the nails. And again, just perhaps do as best you can to go by that. But if you see that it shows maybe you're a little bit out of alignment and you're definitely going to just punch through and make it visible, then just go around it. Everybody wants me to say this, I'm sure. It's hammer time. Again, I start at the bottom. What I like to do too is kind of just press it out, because this is going to have a tendency to continue to want to bow in the middle. So maybe just every second one for now, until I can really get a sense of where it's going here. And same coming up the side. I don't want it to really jettison out one side or the other. So I'm going to cheat upwards, maybe about a halfway mark here, and make sure it's staying within the boundaries where I want it to go. What you don't want to do with K at this point, take note, we're not tapping in the top part, okay? That's because J will go on top of it and it gets tapped down together. You'll see. Everywhere else on here, put a nail in, except for the top of K. Might be a good time to ask you to like and subscribe, or at least leave a comment. Like I said, please let me know what you're using the bookshelves for. I myself, this is going to be an action figure room, and if you want to see what that looks like when all is said and done, please, again, consider subscribing and coming back. And if not, I still appreciate having you here. Why I got so many of these, again, is to fill it up for action figures, but while Walmart doesn't necessarily do a lot of sales, did have a sale on where if you purchased up to about $120, you got about $15 off your order. So I purchased 3 of these, got $15 off. So what I did was make 4 purchases like that. They got delivered to my house instead of me picking them up. Shipping was free. And I got them for about $50 each Canadian. So it should be cheaper in the United States. When I'm laying board J on here, I do want to make it so that the top now is in place. And again, kind of align it as best I can. And then even here, you're going to want to make sure that your seams between J and K more or less align too, so it doesn't look way out of sorts when it's sitting upright. So again, I'm going to start at the top. And it does say top on these boards here. If you find that these little nails are also kind of a pain to hold, I would suggest maybe a pair of pliers. You can always pinch the nail and then you can hold it in place and then tap it. Painless on your fingers. May add a little bit of a level of tedium to it, but when you start getting blood blisters on your fingers, then maybe it's not such a bad idea. Going along here in the middle, You kind of want to pay a little bit of attention here. That's the only place basically I found that I actually missed the board one time. Blew it right through the cardboard so the nail was showing on top. But you can see here from an alignment point, so keep an eye on it. You'll feel when it feels firm, and you can knock it home. I think almost every time I've gone and done this, I almost end up with 2 nails left over every time, which is fine. They're just giving you extras should you miss one or bend one. You do use all the bolts from number 1, all the dowels. It's just the nails I found. Okay, and last nail here. And without any cursing. Okay, now I'm going to lift this up just from the front here. Carefully bring it up. It's pretty stable. Again, you can lift it up by this middle because this middle is secured, right? If you need to lift it up, move it about. Okay, one thing you can do here is the number 10 and number 9s are caps. And basically what you're going to do with those is they can insert into all the bolts into the sides here. I'm not really going to concern myself with that because as you can see, I'm cinching these up next to each other. You might want to if you think it looks like a more finished piece. For the sake of showing you though, here's where you would take a piece. It's got like a little insert here and we're going to just put it up against and set it in place. Now, compared to the 2, you can see it's just nice and shiny with the screw hole, and now it's got kind of a white finish. Harder to kind of see even, so you might want that in place. I might put it on my end ones for now. This one, like I said, will probably end up in the middle somewhere. So now what I'm doing is I found these little tabs here. These were from 5, and I'm going to go ahead and these just slide right in. Anywhere you have these holes on the side here, you can put one. So it's up to you the positioning you want for those boards. But because you get 3 E's, you can put one down here at the bottom, and then you can put a second and a third. So you'll have 2 up top, the middle shelf, and 1 more there. So the bottom is 1, middle 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 shelf unit. And for me, because I'm going to put them all together, I'm actually going to be utilizing the tops, so it gives me 6. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead here for now, just second from the top, just for the sake of things. Doesn't seem to matter either side here because the flatness is basically the same on either end. So long as they're all in alignment, I'm going to piece that there. And take one of these board E's. Of course, the unfinished side will face towards the back of the shelf. Slide it into place and bring it down. Put in the other 2. And you've just built yourself your Mainstays bookcase. I hope this was helpful for you today. Remember, when you're done, you do have the tab on top here. Use a stud finder. Perfect time for you to use it on yourself or a spouse. Boop, boop, boop. It's going off. You're the stud. But again, use that. Find a secure place in the wall. Otherwise, you have that socket. Mount this in, folks. Be safe. If you did enjoy today's video and found it helpful, please consider liking, subscribe, and leaving a comment below because it always helps grow my channel. Until I see you guys again soon, please take care. Be good to each other. Bye now.